here to help us answer those questions is a lawmaker who was present during these hearings, Representative Tom McClintock, the GOP congressman who represents California's 5th Congressional District. Representative, thank you for being here, sir.
Well, it's my pleasure, Riley, and I don't think I've got much to add after that beautiful presentation you just made. You are absolutely spot on.
Well, I appreciate it, and I do want to get your thoughts about the hostility and contempt that he's been treated with thus far. What do you think is really going on there?
Well, I think it's a clash between two very different ideologies. One is the traditional American principles of individual liberty, constitutionally limited government, and personal responsibility, and this new woke leftist phenomenon that is essentially one based upon unequal application of the law. And the denigration of the most fundamental principles that our country was founded on. And those are incompatible things. And that's why I think you're seeing a rising dystopian effect in our national politics. Remember, Congress is simply a reflection of what's going on among the American people. And I think there's two very different approaches, freedom and socialism. We've been there once before when the difference was freedom and slavery. And if you think about it, slavery and socialism are basically two sides of the same coin. And I think that we're reaching such a moment in our nation's history again, where we're going to have to decide whether we will see a new birth of freedom or whether we will travel down the road of so many failed civilizations before us.
That's really interesting. Now, to really hammer home this point, I want to play a soundbite. There's a few that really stuck out to me, so I want to get your thoughts, but this is one courtesy of Senator Cory Booker, who I just think he beclowned himself. This was unbecoming, it was completely inappropriate and unprofessional, but I want to play this soundbite and then get your reaction to it, sir.
If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my time.
I follow you on your social media posts that tear this country apart.
To address your falsehoods.
Oh, you can try all you want
in this country.
to not take responsibility for what you have said.
Time.
Sir, you're making a mockery of this committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
The
people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me my time's over.
You may be the charge of the
I'm
FBI,
not going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not afraid of you.
So, Representative, they're talking about the investigation into the man who assassinated Charlie Kirk there and some of the statements that Director Patel had made online over the course of the investigation. And I understand there were some concerns about it, about the information that was coming to light, but you watch that clip and you have to wonder, what kind of message does that send to the average American?
Well, it obviously sends a distress signal that our country is reaching a climacteric, and we're all going to have to decide which direction we want our country to take, back toward our fundamental values or toward the principles of the woke left, which always lead to authoritarianism and chaos. And I might point out, just with respect to the Kirk assassination, under Kash Patel's leadership, the FBI resolved that case in 33 hours. So it took 5 days in the hunt for Luigi Mangione. And a lot of the reason for the success was Patel's decision to immediately release pictures of the subject, which led to his surrender in just a matter of hours.
I appreciate that perspective as well. And it brings me to this broader point I'm wondering about. You were in the hearings, sir, and I was just watching them, but I was wondering the whole time regarding these lawmakers who just attacked him. It seems clear to me that they personally have issues with him. But I'm wondering, what is their end goal with this belligerent line of questioning, other than maybe trying to make him look bad and really just smear him in front of the American people?
I think that's the entire objective, and the reason for that is because they can't win on argument and fact. I've learned over the years that when the other guy starts calling you names, two things for sure. You know that you're winning the argument, and you know that the other guy knows that you're winning the argument. Somebody once yelled out from a crowd at Abraham Lincoln, called him a liar. And Lincoln paused and he says, "Friend, you cannot disprove Euclidean geometry by calling Euclid a liar." And yet that's what the left is doing today. Kash Patel did an outstanding job in our hearing cataloging the accomplishments of the administration during his 7 months as FBI director. I mean, their policies have produced a dramatic drop in violent crime in Washington, D.C. We're seeing a surge in applications for law enforcement positions again, where before we were losing people quitting law enforcement. And it turns out that when you enforce the law, crime drops. And he attributed their success to just shifting the FBI's attention from what it was doing under the Biden administration, such as harassing Catholics and parents who were attending school board meetings, and instead getting violent criminals off the streets. They've been very successful in doing that. And I think that's what the left is really objecting to. But they can't say that directly, so they simply attack him personally.
That's really interesting. So to follow up then, I also want to get your reaction to this moment he had with Eric Swalwell. It seemed like a real low point, maybe for them both, admittedly, but especially for Swalwell here. So I want to play this interaction between them and then get your thoughts about it, sir.
Anyone that has been terminated at the FBI has been done so
the
because
question
they failed
again,
to meet the muster in their
Director,
constitutional
I will
obligation.
work on the audio-visual capabilities.
I'm going to borrow your terminology and call bullshit on your entire career in Congress.
Reclaiming my time,
it has been
Director.
a disgrace to the American
Director,
people.
I'm reclaiming my time.
You can reclaim your time all you want.
Mr.
Chairman, you're going to allow a witness to speak, Mr. Chairman?
I mean, sir, what is going on there?
Well, what we were just discussing, they can't argue the facts, so they make personal attacks. It's not complicated, but this is not going on in a vacuum. People are watching this. People are seeing the difference, and they're adjusting their opinions accordingly. And we're seeing that in all the polling data that's coming out now. This tremendous exodus out of the Democratic Party by a lot of lifelong Democrats who are, going on social platforms and saying, I can't affiliate with this party anymore. As Reagan said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. And I think a whole new generation are coming to that conclusion, watching this sort of exchange.
Absolutely. I also bring this up in part just in light of recent events. We have the funeral for Charlie Kirk coming up this weekend. And in light of that horrific and evil act of violence, a lot of people are wondering, how do we get back to a place in America where we can have civil discourse? I think one answer is we need to see that example set by our country's leaders. I see you doing that, but not so much for people like Eric Swalwell or Adam Schiff. So in the final minute we have or so with you, what do you think is really the recipe to getting back to that place where we can dialogue with each other, debate, and discuss these issues in a way that's civil and peaceful and productive?
Well, ultimately, trust the people and trust the foundation of a free society, which is freedom of expression. Free societies recognize the only way to separate fact from fiction, or love from hate, or truth from lies, or wisdom from folly, or good from evil, is to put them side by side and trust the people to know the difference. We've based our entire form of government on the assumption that when people are free to express themselves and their opinions and to listen to those of others, more than half of them are going to get it right more than half the time. That served us well over the centuries, and I think is our way back to that more perfect union that we all desire.
Understood. And I just want to say thank you for your time. That's a very interesting point to end on. So thank you for what you're doing in Washington, sir, because this country really needs it.
Well, thank you, Riley, and thank you again for a very, very beautiful opening statement.
I appreciate it, sir.